I think James Cooper was there. I said, "Oh, new haircut, Jose," and he said something about unlike some people though, mine will grow back, and he pointed at me, and I wasn't looking, so I didn't know. Yeah. And everyone started laughing. So I've looked up, and everyone's looking, and I think,
"Oh, you laughing at?"
Yeah, I was like, "Wow, what's going on?"
I missed something here.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to More Than a Match with myself, Damani, and RH.
Deek, another episode, mate.
Another episode.
This one, we've got royalty, haven't we?
Excited.
We've got. He's laughing, but very close friend.
So another guest coming on.
Very close friend of More Than a Match is Jay Motty.
Done a lot for us as well.
He has.
Oh, you're too kind, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. I feel privileged, to be honest, sitting in the same seat that, Jimmy Garner and Emil Esky and so many other.
Keep them coming. Yeah. Keep them coming. No, I love it.
It's long overdue, I think, this one.
It is. I think it's for the viewers as well. It's very interesting. Obviously, we're going to go into your journey. But again, we've interviewed athletes, like you said, and professionals, but your side's a lot different, but it's still been involved in sport.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be very interesting. We've got a collaboration. What's the discount code? I'll let you do it.
MTMA 10.
Yep.
What do you have to do, Raz?
Just got to, put it in the box, aren't they?
Yep.
In the little checkout thing. It's nearly Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, that little 10% might go a long way for some people.
Does.
Do you know what I mean?
For More Than a Match to you, enjoy. Boohoo Man discount code. So let's get in. Look at Jay.
I'm still getting a bit green-eyed here. Boohoo Man collabs and all sorts going on here.
Come on, we're trying.
Boohoo Man ringing my phone anytime you sit there. Have a little word here. Send out a few emails.
Hey, well, you just heard the discount code, mate. You can get some nice.
Yeah, I'll get some nice Boohoo Man stuff.
So, life.
Yes.
At the moment, how's things going at the moment for you? Everything all good?
Yeah, bro. Listen, United, obviously I'm working on Stretford Paddock, covering United. Ups and downs, we can say, can't we? Had a disastrous season last season. This season's been patchy, if I'm going to be kind.
Yeah.
But on the whole, the channel's going from strength to strength. Love what we do. Like yourselves, I'm very fortunate that I work with friends. Me, Joe, McCullough and Howson, we've known each other for years. We started doing this together on our own channel when we bought the channel, which we'll get into later, because we all get on so well. So yeah, I'm very, very fortunate that I'm doing a job for probably the first time in my life that I really enjoy doing, regardless of the United results.
Yeah.
Does it, like you mentioned there, like it's with your friends, so does it feel like a job?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and you know better than anyone. You guys have been experiencing it and living it for the past sort of. How long has it been now?
7 months.
7 months. Yeah, you've been proper hands-on in a way that I am on Stretford Paddock. So there's obviously just the stuff you have to do in terms of the technical side of things, the production side of things, the sort of we do have sort of sponsorship side of things. Just relaunched our merchandise. There's all that sort of stuff, logistics and stuff like that, and getting guests on. So there is a lot that goes into it, but. When you sat around during the day with friends and when you're recording or doing live videos and streams with friends, it's a laugh. We have a good laugh. And it's not fake, you'll have seen it when you see stuff on like social media and when we've been on tour together. We do have a good laugh, and I think that comes across in a lot of content as well.
Yeah.
No, it does 100%. Like, obviously we're very lucky, to have been around you for such a long time, and we're very lucky to use the studio, which we're very thankful for.
I'm gonna give you your props though, Oppa, because when we started Paddock, I think it was Steve who knew you first, and Steve introduced us, and you was sort of everywhere, man, because you were coaching elite level footballers, and it was quite I know it wasn't probably new, you probably experienced a lot, but to me it was quite new that players getting coaching outside the club. I never sort of didn't know much about that, but you've always shown us love, you've always come on, you've always chatted to us when other channels have asked you to as well, and you've been like, nah, I'm not going to do that. When newspapers have reached out to you for a little bit of a scoop, and you've been like, nah, and we've spoken to you, and you've been like, yeah, I'll come and chat to you about it. Yeah, and I do appreciate that, because especially early doors when we were starting off, and it really helped us when people like yourself reached out, and we reached out to you and you were willing to come on the channel, because we were calling in a lot of favours. We were saying, can you come and come on a podcast with us, can you come and do an interview with us or whatever. So yeah, we've had a lot of support over the years, and I do appreciate it.
That relationship grows though, like you said, we introduced, and like Damani's been around you guys so much now, like classed as friends, so without getting too soppy, it is what it is. We appreciate you massively, and the lads as well. Stretford Paddock's been a massive help to myself and Damani, starting More Than a Match. So we've on camera, we would just like to
thank you guys.
No, it's only right, to be fair. Do you know what I mean?
I love it. Look at his face. Okay, loves it. Right, let's get into it.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, really, technically, you should have Jay Motty on the thing there. But that was my suggestion.
Come on.
The guys came to me, but that's another story.
Jay Motty show.
Jay Motty show. let's dive in then, because your journey, like we said before, you know, not a professional athlete, but you started in journalism. So if you want to explain to the viewers how your journey started on this journalism.
Yeah, well, I was a late start with it all. I used to work. I was a bit of a, you know, I've documented this many times on different podcasts and on the channel. Didn't get me down in school. Was, you know, drinking and smoking weed at an early age. Went to college, dropped out. Went back to college, dropped out again. Had a load of dead end jobs that I didn't enjoy. Certainly wasn't enjoying my jobs when I worked in like Stretford Paddock, you know, in a warehouse, that kind of thing. Got into my sort of early to mid 20s and thought, don't want this to be my life. You know, I used to work with lads who've been in the same job for 30 years, hated it, and just been a grind. And I thought, I can do better than this. Not to be egotistical, but I've always been quite bright, just, you know, probably not focused enough. So I went back to college. This time it stuck. Went to uni to do journalism, and when I was sort of asked what I wanted to do, I wasn't sure, and I thought, I wouldn't mind doing something around documentaries or something like that. So that was my sort of vague idea of what I wanted to do. Got into uni, did journalism and learned about radio journalism and quite liked it. Did work experience at Q103, which is a local radio station now, the Hits, I think it's called Hits Radio. And then it ended up, when I finished uni, because of the work experience I'd done there, got a job with them, and then eventually became their sort of Manchester reporter. So I was covering sport and news. So my main job, 90% of my job was news, probably 99% of it, to be honest with you. So just day-to-day news in Greater Manchester. Before that, I worked at Rock FM in Lancashire, but I also covered sport. So that was mainly like press conferences. So when I was in Rock FM, I used to do like the Preston press conference, Blackpool sometimes, Blackburn, and then which is quite exciting as well, because there's a lot going on with each club.
Yeah, of course,
some of them are Premier League.
Yeah.
It was a time when Blackpool in the Premier League, Blackburn were obviously in the Premier League, Bolton did them as well. Then they'd have, like when they announced a new manager or stuff like that, you'd cover that as well, Wigan. And then when I became Manchester reporter, it was City and United. And also, you know, Rochdale had a new manager, you'd cover that, and things like Macclesfield, you'd cover that as well. But the main sort of crux of my sort of sport reporting was around Manchester United and City.
You are a red.
Yes.
Very, obviously, Stretford Paddock, you are a red.
Biggest red in the world.
Imagine him reporting on City.
Oh.
I bet that was interesting, wasn't it?
Because it made me laugh, right? Because once, I remember, I was at a shooting, right, in on a weekend, and I was covering the shooting, like, so I was a reporter, and I'm at the shooting, and I'm just, you know, doing all these, like, voices and stuff, saying, like, you know, what's going on. And my boss had sort of tagged me in a load of tweets from the station saying, like, our reporter, Jay's down there, like, following for all the updates. Anyway, he must have gone on my Twitter, because he'd never seen it properly before, he just knew my name on Twitter. Seen my tweets from, like, the previous weekends, and, like, them blue bastards. And, oh, my God. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
he's like, well, I forgot to have into it.
And I don't know if you remember, there was a time years ago when I think it was Colo Torre had been done for taking his wife's diet pills. He took his wife's diet pills, so he got like a ban or he got something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And one of our sports reporters, because when I started, we used to have a designated sports report, but then the teams we got a little bit smaller, and he left. He went to 5 Live, I think. But he'd done like a joke about it, and you know, taking a mick out of Carlo Torre and the City fans were fuming with him.
Yeah,
and he was on forums and everything.
Wow.
But big part of that was he did some work with the club as well. He did half-time chats to the manager or whatever. So my boss was wary, and I remember him ringing me going, your Twitter, he's like, can we have a chat about it? And he said to me, look, I'm not going to tell you stop being a United fan, but can you
watch what you say?
Yeah, or have you got another account? That's what he said. You can use for United stuff, which I did. I swapped. So I had a journalism account, and I had the account that I use now, funnily enough. I don't really go on Twitter much, but that was the account that I just used for all my United stuff, because most of my tweets were about United anyway. So I had two separate accounts. And during this time, I'd been asked to go on this new channel called Full Time Devils, because I had a bit of a following with United fans. I did a blog about United, and then they'd reached out and said, well, we're doing a thing called a YouTube channel for United. It's a fan channel, because they weren't about really.
Yeah,
Full Time Devils was one of the first ones, and they were like, can you come on and do like a Skype call with us, and like a screen test kind of thing. And remember, the thing they said to me is, you're going to be on with a load of other United fans, you know, don't be afraid to argue. We don't want people to be too polite.
Yeah.
So I didn't need to. I said it twice. You know what I mean? Like, should have told me not to argue.
First on there, like waiting for everyone. Hey, what are you?
Yeah, but this is what it was like. And there was one guy on there that I knew from Twitter who I didn't like anyway. So like, as soon as it was I was just on him.
You should give it him,
Absolutely. Who got on it?
No, you know what?
But that's why I was like, it was good because they sort of responded, well, this is what it wasn't like, I wasn't being a knob. I was just arguing for the sake of it. But I think it's different because this is all new. Everyone knows you guys have done more podcasts than anyone. What it's like. Well, this was all new. I'd never been on a video podcast before. I'd never experienced it. So people, and just, I think human nature, you are a bit polite with people you don't know. You are a bit like, I don't want to be rude or, do you know what I mean?
Come across a certain way.
Yeah. And I remember what they used to do as well, and I used to have these conversations with him at the time. And me and McCall have spoken about this because he started on Devils pretty much the same time as me. I think he did like the Reading preview, and me and him were on the review of that game together. So he was on it like 4 days before me or whatever. And we would talk about some of the guests they used to have on because they were still finding their feet. They'd have guests on that had like a big following but didn't know a lot about football. So like FIFA type people who just, I remember like having a bit of an argument with a guy who just is clueless, just didn't understand, like was talking about players that didn't even play for United anymore.
Just eyes though, innit?
Yeah, and I remember messaging him saying, look, I'm not being a diva, you guys know me, I like to think I ain't got much of an ego, but I don't want to be in a video with people that literally have no clue about United.
Want a proper educated debate about United and stuff.
So they were finding their feet a little bit, and eventually, sort of fast forward, I got offered a job as sort of content manager at Full Time Devils, and by this time I'd had, we had 3 kids. I was the hours in reporting were quite long, and I was looking to do something that was a bit more structured in terms of 9 to 5, even though you've got to do weekends and stuff with football and evening games. It's not as bad as reporting. We have to drop everything.
It's
time. Fire in Stalybridge, you've got to get down there. That kind of
time
thing.
sensitive.
Very time sensitive. Because someone gets there before, it's like gone. Innit?
The story's gone.
And also, it wasn't that bad with radio to get the scoop as long as you get there. But don't want to get all deep. But sometimes you take your work home with you when you're reporting. I did some stories that were grim. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And affects you.
You know what I mean? If United lose, I'll sulk for a bit, and then life goes on. Where you sometimes you get home,
bigger picture,
and you're like, you've interviewed someone who's lost, relatives or something. And it's like it can be quite. It was a bit much. Do you know what I mean?
What about that, like mentally? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, look,
drained.
On the whole, I enjoyed reporting, but there was times when, a bit drained, and just a bit goosed or a bit down, and especially when the money's not great, the hours are long.
It's difficult.
My family's my family's increasing.
So, get down there.
Well, it would be. You're right.
No, it is. And then, soul destroying.
And funnily enough, the bits I used to like the most was the football bit. Because obviously, as a United fan, but this is probably lose all my top red points. But even covering City was interesting because, don't get me wrong, it was infuriating because I'm covering City as they start. When I started covering United City haven't won a title since 1968. And then obviously 2012 was horrible. You go to the press conferences, first it was Mancini, then it was Pellegrini, then it was some geezer called Pep Summit. But the thing was, the good thing about City was they were embracing the media. They wanted more attention. They wanted to get more eyes on them than United. So they were more willing to reach out. So you'd go to the press conference at United, and to be honest with you, it's like they didn't want you there. There was
like a chore to have you in there.
You'd be lucky if you got a question in.
That's what I mean. How do they actually work then? Is it like staged, or is it like certain?
It's a relationship, isn't it? It's like a collaboration.
Questions.
But sort of just what you're alluding to there. So at United, you go there, they'd be like, you've seen it on the YouTube or on the telly, like 5 rows or whatever. So you'd have the print media on the left, broadcast on the right. So the first part is for the broadcast. So that's not embargoed, or the embargoed before half an hour, just so UTV can get it out first.
When you say embargoed, what do you mean by that?
That's a good question, sorry. So when there's an embargo on something, that means you cannot release it until after that embargo. So if the embargo, what the embargo is for, because print, obviously they've got a story. Now if they've got a story and they're going to put it in a newspaper, but I'm going to tweet it there and then, their story is 12 hours old by the time that newspaper is printed and
that's
someone's
interesting,
bought it.
that.
So so they put an embargo on things, so you can't report this until 10 o'clock tonight would be the usual embargo, and that way the print media have got their scoop or their story in the morning that's fresh, and for the broadcast we've had our bit the bit that's not.
So everyone tries eats really.
Yeah, so you get a bit of broadcast, then print, and you might even get the Sundays as well if it's a weekend where they go right. This is for the just for the Sundays, Sunday papers. Sorry. So at United, you get like 5 minutes for broadcast, and it'd usually be. I could tell you the order now, even though I've not done it for
Sports
years.
News
Sky Sports. You'd have James Cooper, then you'd have BBC Radio Manchester, either Bill Rice or Simon Stone. Then you'd have Dom McGuinness from Talk Sport, and then that'd be it. So the only time I get a question is sometimes me and Dom, because I know Dom, he's a good guy. United and City used to clash a lot, so sometimes he'd have to go to City if he was interviewing a player or whatever, and sometimes I'd go to United and we'd send each other the audio. So so if he wasn't there, I'd get a question in. Yeah, I was always a bit nervous though because I was a United fan.
Shaking.
First time I went,
get a question out.
Well, this is it. First time I went, Fergie was a manager. And he went, right, my boss went, you got to Carrington to United press conference. I was like, what? Honestly, I shit myself. And he went, and I was like, right, okay. Do I have to ask anything? Because normally at a press conference, I'd ask things. Do you know what I mean? If I was at a news press conference, GMP or whatever, the mayor or whatever, I'd ask a question. Like, no, you don't need to, because we only had like a minute worth of sports bulletins. Someone's going to ask the obvious question: who's injured, who's fit, what's happening.
And they can use that.
I was so relieved because I thought I do not need to get bollocks off Fergie because I'll just start crying.
Imagine if you asked him the worst question.
Imagine that you go there, you're not thinking, I'm not going to get asked questions. Like, right, you.
What's
the question?
Just points to you. Fergie just points to you.
I'm Stevie.
And then if you ask the wrong question, he gives you the hairdryer.
Well, this is it, mate. Because he was famous for it, Fergie. Like, one of our reporters once, the guy that was my predecessor. So do you remember when Beckham got booted in the face with the boot off Fergie? So our DJs, I think it was a DJ, it might have been JK and Joel, I'm not sure. They did a thing on the radio about leave our Becks alone and went down to the training ground with a big banner, right? So Fergie saw this, got wind of it. It was raging. And then waited till everyone was sat down, because Fergie used to come up, sit down, and he'd just start talking before any questions. So he'd tell you what he wanted you to know. So he'd go, right, Oppa's fit, he'll be playing this weekend. Damani's still carrying a knock.
Love it. I'm ready.
Villa,
shocking.
Villa are a good team. We've got some good players. I think the manager's doing a good job there. But it's a ground we've had a lot of luck on in the past, so we expect to get a result. Then he takes questions. But the thing is, that's all he really wants to talk about. So even any question any question he's almost mildly annoying.
That's clever, that.
So he'd do that, Fergie. Other managers don't usually do that from my experience, but he'd do that. Anyway, so he sits down, everyone sat down, because you'd have to be sat down when he arrived. Like, I got there late once, so I just didn't go in. I'm not fucking going in after Fergie. You mad?
Imagine that. Timekeeping.
I just fucking
you might see that as a bit of disrespect.
It was me, some new reporter,
scrambling me back.
Parker and all that.
Hitting everyone in the back.
Jay Motty's Parker.
That's what I mean. Like, who's this guy here?
I love that.
So I was like, I got there and he was going up the stairs. I thought, I'm not running past him up the stairs, because he used to be upstairs up to Carrington. And secondly, I'm not sitting down while he's. I just thought, fuck it. I'll just get the audio off someone. So you used to put like your phones or your Marantzes or your recorders or your mics, whatever, on the front. You've seen them. You still do. So I don't know why I said you used to. In front of him. So our reporter, everyone's done that. Everyone sat down. So Fergie sat down. He's just gone, you can go. You're on a 3-month ban. Off you go.
Because of that show?
Yeah, and you want to know why? Ask them two idiots on your radio station. So he's had to get up, walk to the front, pick up his recorder, everyone's looking at him, and get off. Because that's so like Fergie was
he won't miss a trick, does he?
No. So, and he'd do things like he'd flick people's mics off and stuff like that. He didn't, it was like...
Fair.
Yeah.
And people can see that.
Yeah. He'd do, if you watch Fergie at press conference, he does that a lot. Like that.
Yeah.
And that's deliberate. So the camera, we've got to focus and refocus just to fuck with people.
Nah, I love that.
And another favourite as well with Fergie, the reporters used to tell
he basically
about.
Controls the media.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he obviously banned journalists all the time if he didn't like what you were doing or he thought you weren't doing your job properly. But another thing is, now and again, the press conference would be at like, say, 12 on a Friday. And if he was annoyed with someone or if he wanted to fuck with you, he'd change it to like 8 o'clock on a Friday, but he'd let everyone know at like 8 o'clock on Thursday night.
Yeah, no way.
So anyone who's got to come from London who's booked a train or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely no.
I mean, I used to hear stories like that. So listen, I don't know how true some of these are, but they sound true to me, and if not, the funner. So yeah, but I know like he had his little ways, so I was a bit nervous. But I did a few press conferences with Fergie, and then I did Moisey when he got unveiled. And I had my worries then when he got unveiled. I thought, this guy does not look like he's ready to manage Manchester United. I don't know if you remember it. He was like, he basically...
He's a bit nervous.
He basically said he couldn't believe it when Fergie told him he was going to be the new Man United manager. He was like, I couldn't believe it.
It's not
It's like me. United manager.
Even if you don't believe it, don't say that, John.
No, he was acting like, I remember thinking,
it's
this
a bit
guy's...
of a front, innit? Yeah. Like the man, aren't you?
Exactly. So I covered like Moyes. I think he didn't like doing radio. I don't think it was in there. And then Jose and Van Gaal.
What was that like with Jose and Van Gaal?
I had a good laugh with Jose, actually, funny enough. It was covered in one of the papers because he cut his hair. He had like a bit of a skin, like similar cut to yours.
Nice one.
No, you're not skin. He's got a skinhead. You're not.
Yeah, you've got like I've cut some upper.
Look at that, man. Look at the beard.
So Jose
Animal
cropped all his hair. This is sort of early Jose at United when he was still quite jovial and happy. And
yeah, we know how that went.
Yeah, that didn't last long. And what happened was, I remember I was writing, because you'd record and you just take notes. So you go like 4 minutes in, Jose says that Wayne Rooney's carrying a knock or whatever. And I was making notes, and I think James Cooper was up, said, oh, new haircut, Jose. And he said something about, unlike some people though, mine will grow back, and he pointed at me.
Wow.
And I wasn't looking, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
And everyone started laughing. So I've looked up and everyone's looking and I think,
oh, you laughing at?
Yeah, I was like, wow, what's going on?
I missed something, yeah.
Anyway, the press conference carried on, and at the end, I was just making some more notes of like the last thing he said. And I just seen his shadow over my thing. I looked up and it was him, and he was sort of staring down at me. And he just said to me, jealous? And I went, yeah, just a bit. I can't remember. We high-fived each other. Obviously, he held his hand up, and I just high-fived it, and then...
got nervous.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever, Jose. You're the special one.
Would have swerved him,
yeah, I was like, nah, move, man. High-fiving. What's wrong with you? This guy, man. Have you seen him?
I love it.
But it made me laugh because, like, something like... I think Dave McDonough, The Mirror, did a piece on it, like, Jose shares a joke with journalists and all this. But I remember the first time I asked Jose a question, it was a Europa League game, and I asked him about Andy Martial. I'll never forget it, because it's one of the first times I asked him, and I said to him, like, because in Europa League it's a bigger press conference, because all the European, like, the journalists from that country come over and stuff. And I said to him, just about Martial, like, something generic, like, Martial's been in a good bit of form, you've been playing him, down the middle a bit more, or whatever. Where do you think his best position is, or why do you think, do you think we're finally seeing the sort of Martial that we saw when he first arrived? Whatever, I can't remember. And he gave a pretty good answer. He's like, I think he deserves his credit. He's working hard. And I remember feeling relieved because with Jose, there was no logic to him.
Innit?
He could say a new one for asking an innocuous question, or he could be your best mate. You just didn't know. Yeah. So I was like, right, I've asked him a question. I've got a good answer. I'm out. Yeah. I mean, I ain't fucking asking a follow-up. That's not...
Cheers,
that's what I said. Yeah, cheers, Gaffer. Yeah.
Got what you needed.
Yeah, like, another high five. All right, no,
got what you needed.
Right. Yeah. So the guy next to me, he goes, just on Andy Martial, and just that's what I thought was, do you think he could reach the heights of whatever, or whatever it was? I genuinely remember him asking it and not thinking anything of it. And Jose went fucking ballistic.
Did it?
How many questions on Andy Martial? Why are you not asking me about Marcus Rashford? Why have you got this agenda? And I was like, fuck it. I know. I was so relieved that he didn't do that to me.
Could have been you.
Yeah.
See, was that before or after the joke though? Because he might have a relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't remember, to be fair.
He might have warmed you from that.
He might have warmed you. He
might have been my natural journalism.
So if you asked that question, maybe.
It's my mate. Yeah, it's Baldy again. Don't worry about it. But no, all United managers go the same way. They start off all right. Louis van Gaal was great. Then you remember when he was sort of like the mince pies thing where he left early. Yeah. I think it gets to all of them. Do you know what I mean? I think
it's a lot of pressure in it. It's a monster football club, isn't it? It's very interesting what you say there about like the differences though in the approach from like United being a little bit standoffish.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, it's brilliant. Like standoffish, but City embracing
Well, even
embracing that. It's a very good point. That.
Yeah, because you go to City. I don't know if it's the same because I've not been to Etihad for a press conference for about 6.
You won't be allowed in now, would you?
No, I doubt they'll let me in.
You just scroll down.
Stretford Paddock. No,
I don't think so, sunshine. But City, you'd go there. There'd be like a full, not even a buffet, like proper food put on, like silver service kind of thing. So you could get like steak and chips or whatever, or pork chop and chips or whatever. And drinks and all that sort of stuff. I know this sounds trivial, but it's just little things like that.
Yeah,
At
details,
Christmas, you
innit?
get a gift off him. I know, again, it'd be like something like a pair of City gloves that I'd throw in the
something
bin.
though, innit?
But you know what I mean? Like, and then you go up, and they've got obviously the media thing, which is in the Academy building, which is a decent setup, to be fair to them. And you got, I saw all this being built, because when I started on the radio, City were in Carrington, so you used to do it in a porter cabin, and then they moved to the new sort of Academy building. And then they have a roaming mic that goes around. And basically, everyone gets a question. Like, if you go there and you want to ask something, you'll get it. It's not like United where it's like 5 and then that's it.
Cherry pick it.
Yeah, they pick the ones they know. If you went there and, you know, sometimes it'd be annoying though, because we'd be like covering a story. So, get Pep Guardiola on that.
Yeah.
And you'd think, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Hi, Pep.
We're
We're covering a story about referees.
It's working, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd have to, and he'd be like, I'm not answering. He'd be like, I'm not talking about referees, whatever. I remember one guy had to ask Pellegrini about rainbow laces because he worked for another station, and they said to him, "Look, get Pellegrini on rainbow laces because they did a big thing about it," which is a good cause. I'm not knocking the cause. I agree with it, but you understand that Pellegrini's English wasn't great. It was all right. It was much better than my Spanish, but the guy, I think his name's Sam, asked him about rainbow laces. The player's going to be wearing rainbow laces this weekend. Do you think that's it's good to see, good cause,
but he's not really
club backing?
Yes, he got the understanding.
And you can imagine if you don't know what that sounds mental. If you don't know any context, and you don't, if someone says to you, your laces this weekend, you're going, what the fuck are you on?
So was that his reaction? Yeah.
He went, laces. And I can think in the press conference, right? I had it with Tanag when he didn't understand me. You go red very quickly, and everyone starts sniggering and looking at you like,
because you didn't deliver it a certain way.
I had it with Tanag. I couldn't understand what I was saying, and I repeated, and he still didn't. And then finally he got it. But I remember panicking, and sounds going. The players are wearing rainbow, like trying to explain it. Rainbow laces for the LGBTQ community to show support, and it's not. It's like you can see Pellegrini's like, and then I think he had an interpreter, and he's like, or he's either the interpreter or the press officer, and he's going laces, and I think in the end Sam gave up. He just made them out.
But like you said though, it's a language barrier, isn't it?
It is a language barrier, and also because it was quite a niche subject. If you just said things like, what about an injury, or because I had it once with when I asked Pep Guardiola about a question about the Manchester derby, and he completely misunderstood what I was asking. But I just left.
Do you have to let him just go then?
Yeah, because they were being a bit funny. They'd sort of come in for this because it was the derby. It was a big game. There was a lot of journalists there. They said, "You've got one question." I didn't want to annoy him.
Sorry, that wasn't the question.
Because I asked him about I meant about the fans. I said, "You've been here now," because it was his second Manchester derby. I said, "Do you think you understand a little bit more about what this means to both sets of fans, especially City fans?" Because obviously I'm doing the City press conference, and he started talking about Marouane Fellaini.
No way.
Yeah. I remember, and I was thinking, what the fuck are you on about? Fucking Marouane Fellaini got here.
That's mad.
He did. Like, he just started his first words were like Marouane Fellaini, and I was like, what?
You didn't want to go, no.
I think he thought I was coming from a tactical question, which I never fucking ask ever. And I just didn't want to go, no.
Right.
No. Are you deaf? That's not what I said. I didn't want to say.
The fans
fucking Marouane Fellaini got to do anything.
That's
you
mad.
Stupid. So I just sort of left it. I was like, fuck it. I can still use that audio.
Yeah.
But he could be alright. I remember asking him about Gabriel Jesus using a scooter around the Trafford Centre. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's alright. He's got a license for it and all."
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a daft question. Yeah, because we could get away with it in the radio. Nice little clip for us, which we used. So yeah, even though fucking hate City, it was. In terms of the media, they do quite well.
Taking you back. I know we're going back to the Twitter sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a good bit of message as well, because like people in day-to-day life, some if they get a job, they look through their social media. So how important is it to post like reliable, like credible stuff? Because employees might go through your Twitter, your social media, because that is a big thing.
We get it as well though, at football. So like at United, they used to do it every year. Like someone used to come in and say, "Listen, It's so important to keep an eye on social media, because when you're young, you just tweet anything, don't you?
Yeah.
Or you just say stuff that you're not bothered about. But I think there was one boy at one time, he must have said something about England, and then the following year he got called up to England, but then people dragged it back. Must have said something like, England are playing shit or something like that. But they picked up on it, and it was only like at the time, I think it was like 5 years ago, when no one knew who he was or anything.
But once he rises, it's a story,
like,
though,
someone
isn't
wanted it.
That was it. Mark Manley that gave you that talk at United. Can you remember?
I can't remember.
Was he a Scouser?
There's quite a few.
Yeah, because I remember there was one. That might be different from the one I'm thinking, because we used to have a guy that came into Key at the radio and gave talk on social media. Because when I started in radio, social media was obviously a thing, but this is 2000. I first did my work experience at Key in 2008. Do you think about Facebook's relatively new? Yeah. I don't even know. I don't think Twitter was going now. If it was, about the early stages. So it wasn't like it is now, where Instagram wasn't a thing.
And it's the way the world's gone now as well, isn't it? Like with the social media and the stuff like that. Exactly. Back then it wasn't. It was radio.
It was radio. We had a website that you'd have to update now and again. That was it. But he came in, and he told us that he gave talk to United as well. So that, it was the same talk or whatever, same guy. But he said, because he had to educate a lot of players, because do you remember there's stuff like court cases going on? Yeah. So there was a court case going on, I think, like the John Terry court case, and players would be tweeting things, and he'd be like, "You can't do that. You can't, comment on this when it's going through a court thing." Or players would be just saying, pretty random things on Twitter, mainly Twitter, and thinking, it's a laugh, whatever. Like Rooney was obviously very funny for everyone.
It was funny.
That's what he said. They used to always bring up Rooney stuff.
Yeah, because Rooney,
look, this is what happened and this is what happened now.
Yeah, because it
could get taken out of context so quick.
At the time, though, when they don't know who you are, then you think it's fine. But I think it's a really important point for the viewers watching. Like, you never know, do you?
No. Well, I deleted some of my tweets because they were. I mean, this is probably a few years ago, but I look back on them and I think, not great. Not like nothing horrible, but just things that I think not great. And also, I'm famously sober now. Not famously, but I'm sober now. I've not drank in 11 years, but I used to sort of be in my flat, leathered, arguing with people, saying all sorts. Do you know what I mean?
Wake up the next morning thinking,
Jesus Christ. So I try to not be as, and just saying things you think that's not the greatest. So you have to be mindful of it. I think more people are clued up now. More people realise that, because back in the day, you got to remember that people were just posting thinking nothing of it. Do you know what I mean? And then like 4 years later, or like your man there who played for England, 5 years later, I remember people still do it now. Like Jack Grealish is a United fan, isn't it? He used to tweet about United. People bring that up. I think Van Dijk used to tweet things about Liverpool, not kind things like Liverpool.
Yeah, I've seen loads.
Yeah, and people go back. He didn't know in 2010 or whatever he was going to sign for Liverpool. But it's it's easily done. So it's different footballers. I think for me, from a journalism point of view, I used to tweet the journalism stuff mainly from Q103 account and my own account. But one thing that we were big on at Key was that sort of level of integrity and honesty. Now, you might go, all journalists say that, but I think because we were a local station, one thing I used to like, when I'd sort of go to ask someone for an interview and you say, where are you from? Say Q103, they'd be more likely to do it because they know we're not sensationalists, we wouldn't lie, we wouldn't be like
trying to create a story out of nothing.
We wouldn't do that. Radio, we're not going to fabricate. If I interview you, I'm going to use your words. I'm not going to take them out of context. I'm not going to try and make it look like
relationships, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Because you might then go, right, well, I'm never speaking at Q103 again, and that'd screw us because we'd want to talk to you again. And we've got a reputation. So that's one thing I really liked about working for Key. There was always that level. I remember once there was knocking on someone's door to try and speak to them after they'd had an incident at their house. And I used to have a brand new car, and he said, as soon as I saw the car was Q103, I thought, I'll chat to you. And he said, I'd tell all the other journalists, I'm not interested. Like Oppa, when he came on the channel, weren't having it with anyone else.
No, you can't.
Do you know what I mean? But
it's got to be a certain way. Going on to that, I know you mentioned it before, and you'll know, because you trust these guys, and like no matter what you say, it's put in the right way, and it's put in the context that you want. Sometimes it's not always put in that context, because as soon as you mention names, or you've worked with this person, or like yourself, this person, they try and like navigate it into something like it's a headline. Sometimes it's not a headline, it's a positive it's a positive story, you know what I mean, where someone's trying to better themselves.
But it's always like, people always have the stigma like the news now, it's just, you turn on the news and everything's just depressing. It's nothing positive, is there?
No,
it's just like, that's what people think about journalism, from like, all their stories are just like, not negative, but like something's happened. It's never like, oh, he's he's done great here, he's doing this, he's doing that now.
Yeah.
It's just like a point to prove to everyone, like, oh, it's negative, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's always been the case. I think a lot of news is negative anyway.
Yeah.
It's like 9 times out of 10, something that's happened is a bad thing. It's like, you know, especially locally, someone's been shot or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would always find, you know, I used to enjoy covering a lot of stories that were positive. People that were making a difference in the community.
Yeah.
You know, people that were. I always go back to, not to be all dark, but obviously one of the worst things that's happened to Manchester is the arena attack.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. There's nothing, you know, I'm not saying for 1 minute there's anything positive from that, but I think the reaction from people from Manchester was inspiring.
The togetherness,
The togetherness, everyone helping out, everyone, do you know what I mean, doing whatever they could. People straight away were out giving blood. People were straight away trying to support people that had been through it. And I interviewed, you know, the community spirit was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'll always say that. And you saw that, you know, the One Love concert and everything like that.
Brilliant.
So the reaction, I think, was a you know, inspiring. And I spoke to a lot of people who, you know, I still speak to someone who were affected by that. But you can see the positives, or the way that, you know, not every story is completely negative in terms of, you know, the aftermath or the reaction where people do show what especially in Manchester, what we're about.
You mentioned before about, obviously, you had your struggles, and you've been sober for so many years. Huge congratulations to you.
Man.
Can you dive into a little bit of that with us and share a little bit of insight on that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I said earlier, you know, I went to uni when I was 27. The reason I think when I was 18 was because I just loved getting on it. I was always drunk or drinking or, you know, going out all the time, and taking drugs as well. I used to go out raving. So I'm a bit older than you lads, so raving was a big thing, like the rave scene when I was in my sort of 15, 16, 17 or whatever. And then, it just sort of never ended. The party never stopped. And then that obviously stops you really progressing in terms of relationships. Split up with every girlfriend I had, didn't last very long because they were just fed up with me after a while, or I couldn't be bothered with them because it was just about going out all the time. Got myself in a little trouble with the police as well, just getting nicked for just stupidness. And I'm not just trying to downplay it. It's just chavvy, stupid, drug related shite. Ended up getting locked up for a little while, not long, just remanded. Again, stupidness, just not going to court when I should have done. And then when I met my current missus, my missus forever. Say it like I'm planning on it, you know what I mean? I did this. This is Steve.
Well,
I spoke about it. I went, my girlfriend at the time. I went, it's my missus now. Yeah.
He's got out of big trouble there, by the way.
I call it,
big trouble. Laura's.
I called him a lady friend once. She put it on a t-shirt.
Big fan of Fellaini, by the way. Is that right?
Mate, right. I love my missus, but she's mental, right? She's got a Fellaini tattoo. So, yeah, honestly, people think I'm lying, right? And then she's like, my missus, this is probably why she's with me. She likes the underdog. She's got a little bit of a soft spot for the guy that everyone's like leaning to. So you think I'm making it up? I'm not. She loved Fellaini. Got a tattoo. He left 3 months later. Fucking great timing. She loved Weghorst. Honestly, Weghorst.
Got a tattoo?
No, don't encourage her. And then another one now that she loves is Delo. She fucking loves Diogo Delo. So when we was on tour in the this summer just gone, I was at Classic Football Shirts doing a thing with John Shin. You know John Shin. I know he's a big fan of what you guys do. Yeah. And I wanted the Delo shirt. There was a Delo shirt there. I was going to buy it, and he was like, "We'll do this quiz thing," and I won it. I was like, "Right, I'll get it signed." So I spoke to someone at the club. I said, "You know, can you get it signed?" Right, so I got it signed for her. And then it was in the mix zone, right? And you've done mix zones. I mean, you've been on the other side of it, but as a journalist, big no, he's asking for a selfie. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've done a lot of mix zones. I've never asked for a selfie ever, right? And I just thought, I've got to get a selfie with the low, right? It's bad because I've been in mix zones where you've had like some of the best footballers of all time there. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I've got to ask for.
Wasting you one picture here.
Yeah, and I said to her, like, but he was chatting, you know Andy Mitten, so I know Andy. So Delo was chatting to Andy Mitten, because Andy Mitten, I know Delo speaks English, but Andy Mitten speaks Portuguese really well. So them two were having a good chin bang, and I thought, right, I've got a chance here.
Timing it.
Yeah, tight in it.
Yes, Andy, all right.
That's what I was like. So I was like, Diogo, can I have a quick... So I was like, and I've got, right, one of the things with me, right, for some reason, I've got I'm all right on camera and stuff, but sometimes I've got my nerves like can go a bit. So my hands like that. I'm like, and you know,
keep it straight.
Yeah.
Straight.
And you know, the more you think about something, like, oh, stop doing that. Like the worse it gets, I was like, Jesus Christ.
You recorded it?
Yeah. And so I took it on. Anyway.
It's on the other side having a selfie. He's got on the other one.
Honestly, it's a nightmare.
But did you get it though?
I got a picture of him, and then Andy makes laugh, right? Because he does United. We stand obviously the fanzine, and he went, I might have a bit of a laugh with that. He said, can I use that picture? I said, yeah, go on then. So I sent it him. So anyway, in the United we stand, I think the one that came out last month, there's a picture of me and Delo, and he went, this fan waited 3 hours to get a picture with his favourite player.
No way, that's cool.
Yeah, well, so my missus is not big United fan, obviously. Listen, we were together. We were friends. We worked together. Ended up getting together. She knew what I was like. And then when we got together, starting a family, it's getting serious, and I'm doing what I normally do, disappearing for days, being a mess, always being skint because all my money's gone up my nose or I've drank it or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, look, if you want to do this, carry on doing it, but not with me. I've had girls say that before, but not really cared for him that much to change my ways. But obviously, I fell in love with her, so I was like, and I wanted a family, and I wanted to be a dad, and I didn't want to be, just waste my life. And I was sort of, I think at the timing and everything, and the person was just, what she said, it just resonated. And I said, right, okay, I'll give it a go, try and sort my life out. And that was, from that conversation to today was literally, I've not drank since.
That's
do you know what I mean? It's stuck. And that's the only way I know. I've got friends who have ups and downs with drinking drugs who'll cut down or whatever. I can't.
All or nothing.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. With me. I've tried just cutting down. It doesn't work for me. Just the only way I know is to not drink. And it's fine. Do you know, like me and you were chatting earlier about going to Dublin. So we've been on tour. Went to Thailand. I couldn't have gone to Thailand 15 years ago. No, I wouldn't have come back. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Honestly.
MIA.
Yeah, I would. I'd be there now. Like, it would be like, remember that guy that we used to know. Thailand, went to America, obviously. Been to Dublin, done events in Dublin, and paddock events where we've done like a live show. We was over there. I know I keep name dropping, but it's relevant to the story, so forgive me. So we did a show with Wes Brown last time I was there. And there's just Guinness everywhere, and everyone's buying everyone drinks. Do you know what I mean? I'm just there with a...
How hard is that though?
It's easy, It gets easier for me each day. So now it's second nature. I was helped by the fact I didn't really like beer anyway. I just liked getting drunk. So I'm not like, I could kill a, I'm well missed drinking, whatever. I didn't even have a beer of choice. So that helps. And I'm used to it.
How annoying is it though?
Do you know what? I have people I have people that I can be around that are my friends. Yeah. Like the lads on the channel are mint, right? I'm not just saying that.
You just say that.
No. Honestly.
They're great.
No. Even Steve. Even Steve when he's drunk's funny. I know you might think, I bet he's an handful. He's not, right? So we have a laugh.
He wants to scrap with everyone, Steve, after.
Nah, he's a funny guy. So we had a really good laugh like when we was on tour. It's never been dry. I've got friends that I've known for a long time that I can still get to know, go to the game with, whatever, and they've had a beer, they don't do me anything. There are some people though that get a bit much after a while. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I don't fall out with them or anything.
Difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, there's somewhat that, you don't even need to have not drunk to understand it. Yeah. You need to got people tell you the same story. Yeah. 8 times in an hour.
Something's funny and it's not funny.
What about like when you're talking in your ear and they're like loud, and also like when they're like,
do you know what the worst one? Right?
It's like, what are you doing here?
I've got one for you, right? So my lad was playing at a team, a couple of years ago. And I went to the awards do for the team, So it's the end of season awards. You've all been there loads of times, obviously. And they told us to get there for 6, right? So everyone's got to get there for 6, be till 6, right? The awards didn't start till about 8:30. Right? So everyone's just getting on it for 2.5 hours, right? It's in Salford and that, and everyone was nice and friendly, but everyone's getting levered. And people recognised me, right? So they were like, and it starts off, there's a couple of people just say, oh, what's that? Have a selfie, oh, good. And after an hour, it's like, so what's happening then? Are we buying? Are we getting a lot? And I'm like, I don't know.
How do I know? I don't work for the club.
I don't think they were being like aggy, but because they've had a beer and it's like, it was dragging on.
Confidence, innit?
Yeah.
People and different when they're drunk, aren't they?
And then it was like, after, and the same people asking the same thing.
It's getting annoying now.
And like, I'm always grateful when people watch the channel and recognise me. I'm thinking like, who am I? So I do appreciate it. But when it's like, you're in that, we're literally in a market in a tent for 4 hours or whatever it was, 5 hours. and everyone's just getting steaming.
That was different.
But there's always one guy. There's always one guy that gravitates to you all the time, though.
Yeah.
Like comes up to you every minute.
You must get it. You guys must get it.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? You must.
Raz gets it. I don't.
Yeah, you must. Most people must recognise.
BBC Sport.
When we started morethanamatch, went to a shop round the corner here, and some guy we walked in, was looking for what was it? A USB.
Yeah, one of them cards, SD cards.
And then we're walking out. I think we were walking in. He's like, up the RH. I was like, what? We turn around. The guy's like, up the RH. And Raz is loving it. He's like,
oh, mate, what's on a shot like this?
Raz like, what was that, mate?
Yeah,
what was that?
He's like, let me get your camera. Go
What was that? Yeah. Listen, I don't mind it. People are like friendly and stuff, and in terms of like my own friends, I've got one or two. My mate was boxing the other night. He was doing a white collar thing, and thankfully his fight was the fourth one, and I'm glad it was, because I think if it had been the fifth one, I wouldn't have stayed. I was just like, because there was an auction, everyone was steaming, and there was a couple of lads who might have had more than just drink, and it was very rowdy, and I'd been there for a few hours, and you get to the point where you're like, look,
especially when you're clean-minded,
and I got that, thankfully though, my mate had his fight. And then after that, I just sort of congratulated him after.
Did you have you done any work with like other people with habits? Like
I work. It's a good question. I work for him. I'm an ambassador for Alcohol Change UK.
Nice.
So they reached out to me. So we did stuff like, and forgive me, right? Because I know this sounds a bit sort of muggy. I keep name dropping. It's just it is relevant to stories.
No, we love it, mate.
So
keep name dropping. We're loving this.
The guy here that's trained with Ronaldo, and I'm going, and then Jose gave me a high five. Wes Brown was doubling with me.
You would have got a high five.
Hey, did you ever touch by Ronaldo? Yeah.
Did you smell him?
So I mean, like, I get how sort of sad it can sound, but it is relevant. So we did a thing like for January. It was me, a guy called Fraser, and Neil Ruddock, who's played for Liverpool. It was quite funny actually, because I used to hate him because he injured Andy Cole, and Andy Cole's one of my favourite players. But we got into that straight away, like as soon as we met.
I've got something to pick with you.
And he was sound. He was proper sound. I do stuff with them. Just sort of videos, social stuff. I did the half marathon, not the one that's just gone. I didn't do that. The one like 6 months ago, Manchester Half Marathon, for them as well, like raising money for an awareness for Alcohol Change UK, because they're not about just everyone should stop drinking. Like, I don't drink, but they'll have some ambassadors who do or whatever. They're just about not making alcohol control your life, not making it ruin your life.
Your approach doesn't work for other people.
Does
it? It's not one size fits all.
No, my missus will have a bit now and again, very rarely.
I think everyone's unique in their own way. Like, whatever works for you might not work for you. Or I think does that not make you like extremely proud though? Like, knowing like where was you at now, and now you're ambassador for such an organisation.
I struggle with it, Upper, right? Because
you have to give you credit to yourself.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone's kind words when they reach out to me. And me and Steve did a podcast about this, and the reaction was overwhelming. It was so positive. But there's a big part of me, right, and I don't think it'll ever go away, that thinks I should be doing what I'm doing. I should be a good dad to my kids. I should be a good partner to my missus. I've got responsibilities, and I should be fulfilling those. So whilst it's all well and good, and I get it, I'm not listen, people that get clean and stay clean deserve credit. I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's achievements in that front at all. I'm just saying, from a personal point of view, I do struggle a little bit, because I feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing.
Yeah, but you wanted it. That's why.
I did want it, and I would feel like, I don't think I should necessarily get a big pat on the back for being a good dad, and I'm sorry, and I know, like,
no, I get what you're saying.
Part of me just feels like you're doing what you should be doing. You didn't do what you should have been doing for fucking years.
Yeah, but the fact
now
that
you don't deserve credit that you are doing it. I know.
The fact that you've changed is
like,
it's very inspiring, because there's a lot of people out there that are probably going through the same as what
I
you
get
do.
a lot of messages about
and
that.
Again, like, your words, and we say this quite a lot, would mean a hell of a lot to them, and it would impact them, so you should be proud of that.
I do, like, I'm grateful when people reach out, and I always try, when you go and you'll again, you guys love it. Usually what happened with me is, like, once a week or whatever, I'll go through my message requests on Instagram or whatever, delete all the trolls. It takes me about 3 hours. But you'll get people who say, like, oh, Jay, I had a drink for a month, or Jay, I'm really struggling. And I will always reply to everyone. Do you know what I mean? I will. And sometimes you forget, like, because I'll forget I think it was, I can't remember, it was McCall or someone said he spoke to someone who I'd spoken 2 years ago, and they were like, oh, Jay.
And you'd be surprised how many people remember that conversation.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah,
that's the maddest thing.
I forget sometimes myself because, not to be getting along, you have so many conversations, but my memory's shite anyway. And then people will say like, oh, you know, I've met people who, when we've been on tour and stuff, who will say, oh, you know, I messaged you, or I was struggling, you
give you that time.
Yeah, and I think, look, I'm very fortunate to have a platform where we can share these things. I love the fact that the lads don't mind me talking about it.
Yeah, I love that
on camera.
Embrace it.
They've never said, Jay, can you not?
Yeah, that's good for you though as well, because like
you
don't have to speak about it because you could be embarrassed or whatever. Some people are embarrassed by it, but like you're embracing it, and you're telling your side of it. So it's good. I think it's amazing how you can always flip back to it and say, yeah, it was a shit part of my life, but people look where I am now. Yeah, people.
You got to be honest, Anya.
Yeah,
because it's like, look, I'm not in a position where, you know, the tabloid press are going to come for me. You know what I mean? Like, but no one's going to say, Jay. You know, Jay used to say jokes. Yes, he talks about it all the time. He doesn't anymore. Do you know what I mean? You know, Jay got in trouble with the old bill. Yeah, he talks about it. There's no skeletons in the closet where you go, you know what I mean?
Did you know Jay did this? Jay did that?
Because if you're open about it, like going back to that Twitter stuff as well, is if you don't, you know, address that, and obviously you start growing and have a profile, they could drag that up, and you're like, yeah, well, no problem. I've already addressed it on about 25 podcasts, and like people, there's no like you said,
there's no shade.
No, it was just pure house shit. It wasn't like, you know, horrible stuff where you're fucking OJ. But you look back, you go, I need to. No, that's not the one. So yeah, a big part of me, you know, not drinking stuff, just trying to be honest, trying to live life as honest as I can, and that's why I'm very grateful as well, because at Paddock, you know, you've been on the brew.
Yeah, it's class.
You know, mate. Like, what even is me and Steve? It's basically therapy for me and Steve, just waffling to each other.
You don't even talk.
Do you know what I mean?
Don't even talk about United.
You know,
get on to that Paddock. How did that come around?
So, like I mentioned, Full Time Devils earlier. So I went on Full Time Devils, then eventually got asked to sort of take over as content manager. I can't really say producer because that technically would have been my job. But when I got asked to do it, I was like, I can't edit, I can't film. They're like, don't worry. Got someone who's going to do that. You just need to manage everything.
Obviously, creative wise.
Yeah, so it was more like, you know, organising and stuff. So we did that for not that long actually, full time, probably only about a year, and then it was owned by Social Chain. So there was me and McCullough who worked on it full time. Steve was a contributor at the time because he was starting his own thing. Joe was a contributor as well.
When you say contributor, what do you mean?
Sorry, they just came on it. Just came on it as a guest or as a, you know,
a
guest presenter or whatever, like you do with Paddock.
Yeah.
What you both have. So we were chatting, and we were like, at first it was me, Steve and McCullough were chatting about, should we buy it? Should we just buy it off him? Then Steve was like, we should get Joe involved, and me and Macca love Joe, like, great idea, get him involved.
Joe's fantastic at what he does.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Great.
Funny guy,
makes me laugh, right?
He's brilliant.
He makes it,
because we do a podcast sometimes, all four of us called Off the Bar, and because we don't see each other that often, it's all four of us, we can get a little bit giddy and like a bit like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like the last few times we've been on it, like me, Steve and Macca are like arguing or messing about her, and then Joe's trying to keep the conversation on football and on topic.
Yeah, he's going off
people in the comments are getting pissed off with me, Steve and Macca. Like Joe's too good for this. Yeah. Joe needs Joe should have his own show and all this. Like
you guys, all of you are amazing at what you do, but Joe's like, he's so professional.
He is. That's what everyone says.
He comes across so well, and you know what? The best thing to say about him is himself. He does not care about anything.
No,
like
mate.
you know, from what he wears to like how he what he says. Like he's just a top guy in it.
The guy went apple picking the other week. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck is that? Yeah, we got apples, didn't we?
Like, come in and he was wrapped in a newspaper. Like,
I don't know anyone, right, who I've ever met who's like spent a day apple picking at, like in the 30s or whatever. That's what.
Shout out to Joe Smith.
Joe Smith.
It was a nice apple as well, cheers.
So wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we bought the channel between us.
Was that an easy process, that? Because like when you say that, I was like thinking of buying it. To me, straight in my mind, I'm sure Damani agrees, like that's a long-ended process. So
it was, you know, the biggest sort of
did they want to sell it as well? Sorry.
Yeah, they did. There was two back and forth over it, and there was sort of goalposts got moved slightly, whatever. But we got it over the line. We got it. The biggest part for the dilemma for me was I actually got offered a job to stay with Social Chain. A well-paying job. It would have been more money than I've ever earned before. Or I could come and do this. Okay. Now, I was slightly different from the other lads in the sense that I don't even think Steve had his youngest at the time. But I had 3 kids. responsibilities.
Security you need.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, can I take this gamble? Spoke to my missus, and she was very, very supportive, as she always is. And she's like, well, you know, what do you think is a good idea? What do you want to do? And I said to her, like, look, I will forever regret it if I don't.
Yeah.
If I don't and it fails, fine. If I don't, sorry. If I do it and it fails, I can live with that.
Yeah, you've give it a go.
Give it a go.
It's your choice.
Yeah. If I don't do it and it succeeds, I'll just thinking,
I could have been.
I could have owned something.
Yeah.
So she was very supportive. She's like, okay. And I thought, right, I said, we'll give it a go for however long, see where we're up to after a year or whatever. Because obviously, you know, if we're skint, I'm not making any money at all, because you want to at least be able to pay the bills. Because we didn't take a wage at first and things like that, you know what I mean? So it was a gamble.
Investing in yourself.
Yeah, you just got to back yourself, haven't you? And obviously with lockdown, the games have stopped. Yeah. There's no fan cams or fans there. Yeah. It's like the worst time. But because we always had that security of the four of us. So you guys, if you guys haven't got a guest, you two do a podcast, it's meant you're not like, oh, well, we can't, the channel's ended because we haven't got anyone else. So we were always like, well, at least we've always got like us four.
Yeah.
We had,
and you've all got your platforms and stuff.
We had the studio. Obviously, you know, we've redone it since. And then just things started to get, you know, take off a little bit. The amount of subscribers, the amount of followers on the socials. Individually, other things started happening for us. Steve started working with Rio Ferdinand. McCullough was on the kickoff, and that starts up the club, does very well on that. We're all getting media appearances and stuff. I started doing stuff Radio Manchester. Joe's on Sky, Steve's on TNT, McCullough's on Sky and everywhere, doing stuff with a bit. You know what I mean? It was just like
branching.
Yeah, okay, this is working. Then we get to a place where for the last 4 years we've been on a tour every year, every summer. All of us. I think there's 1 year where Steve couldn't come, but other than that, it's been all of us. So the channel's grown, man. And I'll be honest with you, be transparent. You know, we aren't businessmen, and we've probably made decisions at the time which are fucking idiotic when it's a business.
Okay,
you know, do we really all need to go on tour this year, or do we really need to go and spend all this money on this? But we've always put the channel first and experiences, and you know what? Okay,
I love that.
Yeah, but you four started it, so. Four of you should enjoy it.
Yeah,
100%. You should all reap the rewards, and you all work hard with it. Like that's fantastic.
And you must see it with your coaching and stuff. I know you coach a lot of footballers that have already made it, but you'll coach players and you'll see them go on and do well. We've had people that have worked here that have gone on to work for Callum, who's one of our producers for years. He works on the Overlap now, doing really well there. He's
amazing.
Directing and stuff on the Overlap.
Fantastic.
Patterson is another guy that worked with Steve, works at ITV, he's doing really well. Cam, who was our producer for years, he went to work for United, and I think he's working. I think JD now is doing their socials, their YouTube stuff. Like people have come in and done well. We've had people that have come on and you know, been on placement, on work placement, we do internships and stuff. We've gone on and
provided opportunities.
I'm proud of that because that matters. You know what I mean? I want people to sort of, you know, get some valuable experience, do well. I want us to treat people well so they can, and also get them ready to ideally I'd want people to stay here and work with us forever, but when they move on I want them to be progressive and have that experience of like, look, I learned how to do things the right way at Paddock, and we've had a lot of people that have done that over the last 5 years now.
That must make you really proud as well.
Yeah, man.
You and the lads.
Yeah, 100%, and it's always good, and we've got good relationships with everyone I think that's ever worked here. I think we still, you know, have a good relationship with, and some people will come back on. Do you know what I mean, on the channel if it's on camera stuff, or they'll pop in, or we'll meet up with them. And it's, you know, but that's been good for us to see that happen, because obviously we started it from, you know, we bought the channel and then I'd started basically from scratch. But yeah, it's
I think that's important though, like you said, like when people talk about you, even though you don't know what they're saying, like you're confident enough to say like, listen, they're going to speak highly of me, or they're going to speak highly of us, like reputation. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you've tried to do the best for someone, or everyone that's been in it.
Well, this is it, man. You know, like, I think that the only bit of advice I've ever had for anyone working in media is don't burn your bridges. You never, especially media in Greater Manchester, you'll never know when you need some. I went back to uni a couple of years ago when I did a master's. And again, this being on the channel enabled me to do it, because I was like, look, I can work my hours around it when I did a master's in production. And it was weird, because at the end of the course, I had to do a project, like a documentary. I said to you earlier about, I wanted to do documentaries, and it's like, right, I can do a documentary. So I remember doing this documentary, and I remember I had to call in a few favours. I was like, I wanted, like, part of the documentary was about a fighter that grew up near City's ground. This is like in that part of Manchester, like where is it?
Beswick.
Beswick, in it, around that area. Collier's, like that sort of area. And I remember I wanted to do a drone shot. I was going through all these hoops trying to get this drone shot to I could get hold of a drone, and then the license, you can't just fly a drone anywhere, especially not over a football stadium. I was like, fuck's it. And I remember, like, I used to work with someone, I knew someone from the days in the press conferences who worked for City, so I contacted him and I was like, look, if you got any drone footage I can use for this documentary. He's like, yeah, sound. And then I managed to, because I used to do a lot, like, interviewing, like, the mayor quite a lot, Andy Burnham. I knew someone in his office, so I managed to get him to come on this documentary. So I called in a few favours, but this is because I had a good relationship with these people.
Like,
they didn't owe me anything. They were like, they'd have been like
that.
Shows how much of a good person you are.
No, I think people respect the fact that I would do it for them, and I've always been honest about, you know.
But not all people are like that, though.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, people think it's a dog eat dog world. Journalism, it isn't. Like,
everyone can eat, can't they?
Yeah, if you're working for, you know, one of the tabloids, then maybe it is a bit more dog eat dog, and maybe that is going to help you work for that, you know, for that paper and in your career. But for what I've always done and what we do, especially in sport, and you guys know it anyway, you'll be in their dressing rooms and you'll know what, you know, which sort of journalist players will speak to and which they won't, or they'll respect or whatever. And I think that's the way it is, you know, with the channel as well. We try and have that integrity and be honest as well. So look, you might not like what we do, but that's fair enough. I always think one thing I like about it is if you don't like what we do, or if you do like what we do, that's our fault. I don't blame anyone else. Do you know what I mean? I can't say, well, I was told to make that video. I didn't want to fucking make it.
But it's always two sides, isn't it? To everything in life.
So
that's
opinion as well. That's what life is.
You know, I'm a match-going United fan, so I value the fact that I can go to Old Trafford and chat to fans and no one's like, you need to fucking get rid of that channel. It's like, everyone's alright. You know what I mean? I get one or two feeling it. But there's never been any drama such wood, so I appreciate that.
You mentioned the tours.
Yes.
Just quick fire questions now.
Right.
You mentioned the tours. Like, what's your favourite moment on a tour?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think, man. We've had some pretty unique moments. I'm trying to think where it's been like. There's times when, like, you sort of chatting to ex-players and stuff, and players that, you know, your heroes who are there on the tour, and you're just having a conversation with them. There's been some mental moments as well, right? There was a funny one where, so the first time I went on tour, the lads went on tour the year before I did, before we started the channel. Steve went with his other channel, and McCullough went with Full-Time Devils, and obviously met up, and Joe went as well. I don't know if you ever see that picture of Joe and McCullough, where he's got his arm around him, and it's like a meme.
No, I've
seen Jesus showed me why I won't get into heaven.
I've seen that.
I have to
try and get it up on the
so
clip.
That was from that tour that I had going anyway. It went everywhere, that picture. I'll show you in a bit and you'll recognise it. So then the first time I went was to Thailand and Australia, and it was like, I love it anyway. You're meeting all these fans, and the fans are like, oh, what's your desire? And like, we got to this hotel in Thailand. It was just mad because it was like the first time I've been on tour, and we were in the same hotel as the players. We just got in the lift, and Marshall was just stood there in the lift, and you're just like,
this is mad. This is mad.
And then McCullough just laugh, right? Because McCullough does his thing, if he sees someone, right? I shouldn't tell you this because it's like his little secret thing that he does, but not
secret, exclusive.
Not secret anymore. Right, McCullough, and I love this about him anyway, but he'll chat to you like he's known you all his life. So we're like, yes, see what's happening.
I love that. That's brilliant. What a treat.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Tony. Is that it?
But it does work like this sounds. Everyone I've ever and he'll do. He's not just like someone who's famous or whatever. He'll do it with anyone. And him and Max, I was just like chatting. He's like, and then like I was just like, this is mental. But what made me laugh, right? I was at this thing on Classics football shirts the other week. They did a quiz, and there's these two lads from like Indonesia on our table, and one of them was like, he says, you know, you won't remember this, but in Thailand, you and me got in a lift and Anthony Marshall was there.
Oh my God, so you remembered, remember the story. That is unbelievable.
I was like, I remember that, man. It was mad. So little things like that, like
little memories like that.
Yeah, and the four of us just being away, because I know, like, I'm not just saying this because Mrs. Matt watching. It is work. It's hard work.
We had this conversation.
I always have that conversation.
Yeah, it is. But where else would you get to sort of travel around the world? You know, we've been to America 3 times.
As a United fan.
With your mates.
With your mates. Meeting all these fans. And the fans over in Australia, Thailand, in America, the nuts, man. They are
It's
the spot on.
Again,
Can't fault them.
we've had a conversation about this before. Is like they treat you like royalty as well. Like you don't realise how many people watch Stretford Paddock and stuff like that.
You said that. You said you were surprised how many people knew
Honestly, right,
who you was.
bro, it is insane. You'd think like sometimes we played for United, and I have to like. I remember like
pinch yourself.
Yeah,
sort of thing,
and I'm like
very grateful though.
Yeah, 100%. Very grateful. Never like dismiss it or take it for granted. But I wasn't prepared for it because the guys are sort of used to it and they know about it and they've been on these tours, and especially like Steve and McCullough's got such a big following anyway. Like they'll get stopped a lot in England, let alone abroad. But yeah, the first time we went, you went to like a United event. People going crazy, like, and then people remember things you've said. Oh,
remember you said this.
Yeah, I was little man. I was your daughter, and you're like, right.
But but you are basically like United, are you?
Yeah, but I think a lot of them respect the fact that they're fans who can't get to the game.
United.
Yeah,
because
so they look
at
they're looking at the fan experience through you. So I'm not saying that anywhere remotely the same as being a player. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but for them, they're getting that fan experience vicariously through you because they watch your content, they see you at the game or whatever when you're, doing filming outside the game.
Because if you asked anyone like, oh, do you know Jay? He's like, yeah, the one who works for United. It's like, do you know what I mean? You're already linked to, like, you're linked. So it's like, you come as one.
I think when my kids were little, they thought I played for United. So when they were little, like...
Overton.
Yeah, they were like,
oh my God. Oh, you're good. Oh my God. Sorry about it, Jay. I'm so sorry about it. I'm so sorry.
But not the best looking United player. You could have picked there, Damani. Do you know what I mean? All that luscious locks.
Sorry, guys.
Like, you know what? It did me dirty then, right at the end.
On a serious note, though, like on that topic, like we're trying to do this now, aren't we? Building that sort of community and stuff.
Yeah.
We want people to think. Well, not think. They want to know.
He's still laughing at his little Overton joke.
Gary Overton over here.
He's laughing as well. There, this is outrageous.
But we want people to like know us as human beings and like have that relatable sort of thing because you're building a community. You should know like your ins and outs, and you should know like what you are as people. I think that's really important.
100%. I think it helps, and I think
I got there in the end. Sorry, Jay. Sorry.
No, that's all right. When you're doing content every day, do you know what I mean? And you'll get people that watch all your content. Not everyone will. Some people might watch 1 or 2 videos, whatever. They feel like they know you. They're getting to know you, and I think like that is an important part of it. Why it's always, helps even just yourself because you're putting on an act.
That's what I mean. Like, how do you switch off, Jay? Like,
funny enough,
is it hard?
It is a little bit sometimes because my missus is a big red. My 2 youngest kids are reds. My eldest daughter, she's give up.
She's give up
on football. She's got to 14. She used to go to United quite a lot. I used to say quite a lot. But now she's not interested. And a boyfriend is a United fan, so she cares because she wants him to be happy if United win or whatever. But she's not that bothered. My 2 youngest, the worse than me, man. They're ruthless.
You've ingrained that into them.
Instilled
on it. Yeah, and sometimes you go to the game, you get home, or you go to the game, or you watch it here or watch along. Then you got to do the post-match stuff. And then, especially if United lost, I'll get home, my missus will talk about it, and the kids will chat about it. But listen, I've got 3 kids, so it's not like I've got nothing to do. Do you know what I mean? The kids are playing football. You were talking about it, so that takes a big part of my life.
Read that at home,
mate.
Jay Motty in the studio.
Who's the last question before Damani asks his famous question? Even though it'll have to be a little bit tweaked. Who's the most not famous, but who's the best interview you've ever interviewed? Person you've interviewed.
The biggest name is Fergie. Right. That was on a red carpet. It's only brief, but it was amazing. Yeah. But the best interview I've ever been a part of that I love, and I could genuinely sit and watch it again today, was when me and McCullough did Andy Cole. Because
your idol, innit?
I fucking loved Andy Cole, honestly, bro. Oh my God,
what a player!
So underrated. Very underrated. I get angry at how underrated he is. It's like when Erling Haaland started breaking all them records, and you were like, Alan Shearer's record. I was like, whoa. Alan Shearer and Andy Cole's record. They both had the same amount of goals, except Andy Cole didn't take any penalties when he got that record.
Love that. Fighting his corner.
Honestly, bro. But I loved it because Andy Cole was having it. He agreed. He was the same. I was like, this really annoys me. He's like, I don't get credit.
I think he knows. I think he feels that himself, though. Doesn't
he did, and he said it.
A bit aggrieved, a little bit.
Yeah, and because he pushed back on Twitter a couple of times because someone had said about Darwin Núñez is like Andy Cole. And one thing that annoyed me, this whole bullshit about Andy Cole needs 10 chances or 5 chances to score a goal. Andy Cole scored 40 goals in a season. So you're telling me if he took all his chances, he'd have scored 200? Shut up. No. It's just nonsense. And look at the amount of goals he scored. Like, how can you knock it? So we interviewed him, and because me and McCullough were both massive fans of his, but we had a lot of knowledge as well. It wasn't just sat there fanboying. We knew, like, I'd been at a lot of games where we were talking about McCullough. There was that knowledge there, and we were chatting to him before we did the interview. We did it down in London, and he was a bit like, when he arrived there, and he knew a few people that were there because it was in the studio that Rio just got down there, so he knew a few people that sort of were there. So he was chatting, and then we were chatting with him, and he was alright, but then just before we go to record, he was saying he was hungry, and he was like, "Oh, we'll record first, it's alright." I was like, "No, we'll get something to eat first, you know what I mean? We've got some food and that." And then we were talking during that and having a laugh, and then we started doing the interview, and it was just mint. He was a top laugh. He was dead honest, dead open, quite raw about certain things. And I remember it got that bad. It was that bad, right? It was me that started wrapping up the interview because I was thinking, bro, we've kept him here for 2 hours.
But he was probably enjoying that dialogue with me.
I thought at some point we have got, because I can't just leave it, like, just keep going forever
all day.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have.
100%. And so I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes we were chatting. You know what I mean? It was class because we just covered all these different things and getting his perspective on this. And then we asked him a couple of questions. Well, what I liked about this, and got to give him Calder credit for this one. We asked him, Andy, Harry Kane had been linked with a move to United or whatever. And we asked him a little bit about, how do you think Harry Kane could do a job for United, or, you know, could he fucking whatever? And then that was the only bit we took out, because all the rest was about him and his career. And we just thought, we don't need the fucking...
you don't need it to talk about anyone else.
Do you know what I mean? We don't need the little clickbaiting. Harry Kane could win the league at United, whatever. It's not about that. It's about him and his career. So we fought that off and just had like the interview, and it was good. And that was like, since then he's done a lot more interviews, but that was a good one. I enjoyed that. You
allowing him to have some food and like having that little dialogue.
I think
that makes him feel normal though. I mean, it's not like, right, come, let's do the interview.
I never I was told that when I used to do radio, if you can have a chat beforehand, it's an obvious thing. Do you know what I mean? Just like let people
get to know you a bit more.
If you're just like straight right, fucking tell us about your career now. Why do you Glenn Hoddle? Do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas if you're chatting, it's a lot easier.
What about, who is someone that you want to interview that you haven't, or you could?
Great question.
That is a good question. I've met him, but I've never interviewed him, and I'd love to interview Eric.
Eric Cantona would be an absolute joke.
There's so many stories about him.
Because McCullough and Steve did him. They interviewed him in Full-Time Devils days.
That would be unreal.
It was just quite, like, I think it was about 20 minutes I think they had with him, which is obviously fucking any minutes is great. But I'd love, because for me, Cantona is just, it's like he's not just a United player. He's like aura, something else. He's aura. He is aura.
Yeah. I was watching that
Nicky Butt.
That
is unbelievable. Tell her that is unbelievable.
So they have like a pot. I think it was like
it was all like
games,
like a lottery,
stuff
appearances.
Like that. And there's like, normally they get to pick out of a hat or something like that.
Yeah, so it was one of them where, like Damani said, if they go for appearances, all the money gets put in a hat, but you can take it at the end of the month. So I think it was like £2,000, wasn't it? Like all the lads, if it's split,
it's
£2,000 each. And the lads were saying Gary Neville.
They were
in
the changing room, weren't they?
Yeah, Gary Neville and Phil Neville took theirs, and he was having a laugh saying, they invested it in this and that, but they gambled it and put it in the pot with all like the big time players, and it got drawn out, and Cantona won.
Everyone was like, "Fucking hell, he's the richest there."
It's
and
like
you turn around and it's like, give it to the kids, and then Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt got about
20 grand.
20 grand
really?
Each.
I bet the Neville's are fuming in it.
That was sick. That clip is unbelievable.
I think like with Eric, he sort of he kept that, because I'm old enough to remember, right, when I was a little kid, like, I'm not that old, but when I was a kid, United hadn't won the league for years and just couldn't get over the line, and we lost the league to Leeds by like 2 points, whatever it was, the season before he came, and you're just thinking like, everyone's negative, you're never going to win the league, we've not won it for 20 odd years. Eric comes and basically won it every season that he was there, other than the season he got banned.
It's mad how he retired so early as well.
But I think he, you know what, like, I love Eric Cantona, but I think he was probably right, because he went off on a high, he won the title, he still scored a load of goals.
It's unbelievable.
It annoys me a little bit, because I think part of me feels like if he'd just stayed another couple of years, could he have been part of 99? He could have been him scoring like the new camp, whatever. But you think, he went out when it was time was right for him. Do you know what I mean? The thing with Cantona is you couldn't tell him what to do. Like the guy was even right. Him climbing into the stands and
that was mad.
Doing what he did against
Kung Fu kick, Wimbledon.
That idiot Matthew Simmons. Even that, like, you think that cost us a title, cost us a double, really. But even that, you won't change.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a moment,
that's him, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a moment.
That's like people, you know, like there's all these. What's the most iconic picture of the Premier League era?
That's him Kung Fu
me.
kick. Yeah.
I was always posting that. I was like, that's people's like Aguero celebrating or whatever. Like, fuck off. Or Rooney's over a kick. I was like, no, I love Rooney, but come on, bro.
Yeah.
It's kind of like climbing in the stand and just like, doing what he did. That's crazy. Can you imagine that? But this was him. Like he didn't give a shit.
We're having an Andy Cole moment here. We're loving this conversation, aren't we? Yeah. We don't want it to end. You met Rooney. Yeah, you met Rooney the other day.
Yes, I did. You know Rooney, don't you? Obviously,
Wayne.
far better than I do.
Yeah.
It's good because him and McCall have met before. So obviously K Kurd, shout out to K, fantastic show by the way. Larry invited us to go and see his show, watched it, laughed our heads off, went backstage afterwards, met Rooney.
Brilliant.
Top guy. What a guy. So down to earth.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Honestly, but again, you know what it is with him? I think him and McCall get on quite well because he respects the fact that Mac is always sort of reminding everyone what a great player Rooney is, because I think for some of the younger generation, they forget that. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
I think sometimes with the younger generation, because you haven't seen a player as much, you just go off stats. Now Rooney's stats are ridiculous. It's great.
But look at his clips; are scary.
Yeah, but Rooney's goal against City isn't the same as, I don't know, Sancho's goal against City or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Sancho's against Everton.
You've got a bit of context, that over a kick or that. When he was mentioning it, we were talking to him, when he scored against West Ham, it was from his own half. That's not scary. Stats don't tell you all these different things.
Goals.
Someone going onto the scene at 16, scoring at Arsenal. David Seaman, best keeper, like
couldn't get near it.
#1.
Mate,
bullying people.
Mad, crazy.
Like honestly,
could talk about all day.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. Like, it was it was an experience meeting. It made me laugh as well because my missus, when I told her, like, she's like, "Is Colleen there?"
Yeah, Colleen. She's lovely as well. She's class.
You know, top guy, man. So very lucky, very privileged to have experiences like that, because I'm still
and many more to come.
Jay Motty, last question. I'm taking over the reins from Damani Mella. Jay Motty, what has journalism and Stretford Paddock taught you? Is that all right? That's nice.
Yeah, I like that. That is a really good question. That I think it's taught me, just if you like something, if you're good at it, or you think it's something you want to do, just give everything to it. Do you know what I mean? Throw yourself into it, man. And I don't think Paddock would have had the success it's had in terms of, we're still going strong after 5 years if we all had to give it our all. And I think that's the best way to go about things.
This has been unreal, hasn't it?
I really enjoyed
it. Enjoyed this, man. We're sitting here on a second. We're usually chatting in there, aren't we, for like 10 minutes after you guys.
You're usually here and then you're
like, we've got a laptop here, got a comment here,
we've had
a super chat
here. You never know though, more than a match could, hopefully if it keeps growing.
Yeah, man, definitely.
But no, thanks, Jay. What do people need to do, D-Money?
Like, subscribe, get in the comments.
So many points in this episode. Get in the comments. We want to be interactive. We want to build a community. And like, subscribe, and also turn the notification bell on, because when we drop new videos, in the old YouTube lingo, you'll get a notification. We've not said that one before, so go and do it. Thank you so much. Another episode of More Than Match. Jay Motty, Damani Mella, up the RH. Enjoy.